Good evening, TheoTrade. This is Corey Rosenblum, and you're watching the Theo Nightly video for September 3rd, 2019. It's a whole new month, but we're still in the same market, and we're still in the same volatility box in the S&P and crude oil. Well, that's not the case with some other markets, and we'll focus on that in tonight's video. The question we're going to ask is the risk-off trade gone too far, too fast, or is there more to go? And what do we mean by that? We'll start with what is the risk-off trade. It's a defensive play that funds or money managers or just traders in general park their capital when they think the economic conditions are going to be poor for the future. They want to protect their money, not make money, and they are more defensive than offensive. And so if we think about risk on markets, we're thinking of equities and sometimes commodities, and mainly high beta or high volatility stocks. Think Apple, Amazon, think retail companies, think financial companies, and in general, think technology companies. And that's what we put our money when we think the economy is getting strong or is strong now and will get stronger in the future. We want to put our money to work, get those compounded interest and the dividends if applicable, and just the price appreciation from leading stocks. But if we think the economic condition is deteriorating or will be worse than it is now, we don't want to put all of our money into the equity market, and especially not high beta stocks, because high beta stocks typically will fall faster than the broader market in downturns. So for investors looking to protect their capital, they'll rotate it out of equities or out of certain sectors in the market and put it in other sectors in the market, or take it out of the market altogether. And that's what we've been seeing. So let's specifically talk about risk off. If you're pulling your money out of the equity market, you think things are going to go poorly. And again, we had that ISM number this morning, and that was under 50, which shows contraction. So that was a negative headline on the economic front. So that's leading to this, or there's been money flow before this, but still, the picture for the bulls, it's darkening. Nonetheless, we'll put our money into bonds. So if we're the easiest way to talk about the risk on, risk off is risk on equals equities or stocks. Risk off equals bonds. But it's not just bonds, it's other defensive commodities such as silver and gold. And that's why we look at this intermarket perspective. So we have two risk on, or offensive, or bullish. If the economy does well, they do well. And that is equities and crude oil. Over here, we have the defensive names of gold and bonds, seen with ZN. You can also see it with TLT, IEF, or up here, GLD, SLV, and of course SPY, and USO or other crude oil names. So back to the original question. Is this risk off trade too far, too fast, too much, too soon? Well, that's what we're going to see as we transition into September, October, and the rest of 2019. The key for the equity market is going to be right here, which is this 100-point volatility box. The same is true for crude oil, which has a little bit of a downtrending or descending trend line. And that's not bullish. So we will be focusing on 50 per barrel for crude oil, and the 2800, 2811, 2830, as we'll see shortly, level in the S&P futures. Just for comparison purposes, let's take a look at the similarities in the Dow. So Dow futures, not much different, same or similar range. In the Nasdaq, similar. Again, compare these quickly and briefly to the other markets, risk on, risk off. And that Russell, which is a whole other conversation we've had, which is the weakest. So the fact that the high beta name, we discussed that a little bit earlier, high beta Russell, or low cap or small cap, not low cap, but small cap Russell index, it's the weakest of the year and getting weaker. In fact, the Russell was off 1.5% today, whereas the nearest market was the Dow, down 1%. But we still want to answer that question. Too far, too fast? Let me look at that on the daily chart with you. So on the left, we have the daily chart. On the right, the hourly chart. I typically focus on the daily chart for these conversations and these trade setups because that's where we'll put duration positions either in out spreads or verticals. And we'll just frame those out by volatility or just by personal preference or experience. Nonetheless, equity market still is in this box, and the question remains, is it going to be a upside break or a break to the upside or down? I still think odds favor down, but we will certainly see as that plays out into September. So we're mainly comparing this big box from late 2018, right here, was roughly a 200-point box, to the short-term 100-point box, which has the same up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up that we saw then. So in crude oil, which is an economically sensitive, or as the economy does better, crude oil prices are in greater demand and therefore go up. Well, that's not happening. In fact, crude is not even near the high of 2019. It's actually closer to the low. That pivot point remains 50 per barrel. The upper resistance in the current box, if you will, is about 57 per barrel. And that is gapping down, and in the hourly chart, looking a little bit weak in this upper resistance box. So it's potential downside to 50 in crude oil. In gold, we keep getting this uptrend. And that's why I'm doing the video, because this is a huge uptrend. This is a big move in gold. And we still have this new high. So despite the fact that it's made many, many new 52-week highs, it keeps making them, as money seems to be flowing out of equities and in a big way into the gold market. And certain other factors can be at play, but just keeping the video simple in terms of risk on, risk off. So price is going up and volume is also going up. That is a sense of urgency that the funds and the traders are needing to get their positions on, and they are paying higher and higher prices to do it. The same is true in this 10-year bond. The volume maybe not be as clear, but nonetheless you are seeing price go up and volume, green volume, bull volume, keep getting higher. So that same concept plays out, and we just made new 52-week highs in the bond market. ZB is your 30-year, didn't quite make the new high just by a technicality in today's session, but still the uptrend continues and the bull volume continues. The same can be true if you are trading TLT or IEF as a bond fund. Same higher high, same higher lows, same bull volume. There is a sense of urgency. There is a sense of rapid movement. Prices do move by supply and demand, and the price goes up when traders are willing to pay higher prices, or in this case, when the price gaps goes, and so on. There is urgency. There is a sense of need and necessity. Otherwise, they would not be paying these foolish prices at these new highs, yet they are. So we'll continue to watch these here in TheoTrade with you as this goes on. But for now, in TLT, watch this 148 level in ZN, your 10-year Treasury note. It's just above the 132 level. 30-year note, 167. For crude oil, again, it's 50. Remember, the bonds and gold are going to be traveling up as considered risk off. If we start to see a risk on, you'll see the flip side, which is gold come down, treasuries come down, oil go up, and equities go up. We don't know the future. We're just putting trades on and managing and watching any levels, any movements, any clue. But one thing is for certain, we will not stay in this trading range forever. We're going to move one way or the other. And if that's the case, so our trades just will come from that framework. If you aren't already positioned, then wait for the breakout and join the winning side. If you are positioned, hang tight. Be patient. There's been no resolution yet. Neither the bulls nor the bears have won. Not in the equity market, but the risk off money flow, the defensive or protective money flow, that's won in a big way in gold and bonds. As always, be careful, stay safe. And this is Corey Rosenblum with your Theo Nightly video for September 3rd, 2019.